we move forward to another kind of story. This focusing around villains, very similar to how Dana White has to adjust to make sure that there is always a villain and always a good guy.
I love Diego Costa's face in this next
Yeah,
image.
this is. I think you did the perfect job of picking a card which kind of symbolizes what we're talking about and why we're talking about him. That's your Diego Costa. The thing is with Diego Costa is he's playing pretty well at the moment. And he's come under a lot of scrutiny as to the way he started his season with his antics off the ball, with his antics and his criticisms of Spain, his criticisms of the way he's treated in the media. And I wanted to create my own headline today with the help of Jason Rubin, who agrees with this statement, I believe, is that Diego Costa must remain the villain so that Chelsea can go on and pursue their potential this year, which could be top 4 finish, which could be Premier League finish. And the reason why I say this is because if recent terms with Chelsea have shown us is that there's often a disconnect as to what's going on with the players and what's going on with the managers. And that has often happened when either the manager or the owner becomes a villain. Jose Mourinho, largely viewed as a villain last season, that he lost that kind of chemistry that they had in his second season coming back where they won the Premier League title convincingly. And it seemed like he lost the dressing room and everyone kind of vilified Jose Mourinho. They even sided at times with Roman Abramovich, who is even more so the villain than anyone behind the scenes at Chelsea because he's the one often dictating where everything should go. So what happens is when you vilify a specific player, not only does that add extra fire to their belly, if there's one player that can thrive further with people kind of shining the light on him and trying to focus on everything that he's doing, it's Diego Costa, the same way Luis Suarez did for Liverpool. When more people started to vilify Suarez and hated the things that he was doing, he was banging in goals on the park and he became the main focus of Liverpool so that everyone else could go about their business doing things as they should without really worrying about everyone kind of zoning in on every single decision. I think it's a blessing for Antonio Conte that he has somewhat of a head case on his team and a head case that's banging in the goals.
Speaking of Antonio Conte, I wanted to get to a few elements. For one, this is Antonio Conte discussing and backing up his star striker in Diego Costa, saying that people are trying, not people, but defenders are trying to get Costa to break. They want him to freak out. They're not necessarily attacking him, but if Costa can keep his cool, which is anti-Costa in very many ways, he'll be fine. However, this has been obvious for a few years. I'd just like to hear it from Antonio Conte himself. This followed the Swansea match after Costa bike-kicked his way to a draw.
Today, I can tell that Diego Costa had a fantastic behavior to control the situation, because I think today he took a lot of kicks from the first minute until the end of the game. And yeah, today I'm pleased because he showed me, he showed his teammates, and he showed all that he had a fantastic behavior, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
So as Conte was saying, Francis, pretty much that they're antagonizing him. It's obviously not going to be easy for him to just keep his cool. However, he's going to need to. And from Diego Costa himself, I found this quote to be interesting. Before we get to it, some context on it. He had some very boring things to say when they asked, about his play so far for Chelsea. The very, very standard, just being out on the pitch is what I like to do. Nothing exciting. You've heard it a million times. What I thought was more interesting was the back half of his quote, where he talks about scoring in the Premier League, and this is what he had to say about that. You just have to be prepared because in the Premier League, you are not always going to have more than one chance to score. When it comes your way, you have to be ready to take that chance. If you're not calm, you know it might not come again. Do you feel, is that something that you've seen that in the Premier League, if you're a star striker, you might only get one chance at scoring in front of net? Or do you feel like Chelsea is creating more chances this year? Is this a Chelsea thing? Is this how Chelsea plays? 14 more questions about Chelsea and the Blues. Do you like Blue? Are you a fan of the Blues? Do you like blues music?
I love blues music.
Now it's back. Do you like the Chelsea Blues?
I don't like Chelsea, but it doesn't matter. Like that's just an old kind of point of view when it comes to Chelsea being the Rangers of England.
I don't
like Chelsea.
It's because it's blue.
Yeah, it's
Rangers
blue.
are blue.
Green is just a nicer color. Green is where things grow. Blue is like
the ocean, my favorite thing in the world.
The ocean is your favorite thing in the world? The ocean is hands down one of the scariest things at night. You don't know what's there. You don't know what's there.
You know what? Diego Costa at night probably is pretty scary too.
I can imagine.
You don't know what's there.
Diego Costa It makes sense. You don't get as many chances as you would like. Like, you're not Cavani gifted in the French league with over 35 open chances a game and converting one. But Diego Costa, out of a lot of the strikers in the Premier League, up there with the Agueros and the Zlatans, is you bet your bottom dollar that he's going to take maybe 1 in every 2 chances that he gets, because he has phenomenal finishing ability and he has phenomenal confidence, which has came back this year in his own ability to finish.
The ball low.
Like, he shapes his body. He knows exactly what he's going to do. It's almost Thierry Henry-esque, where you knew as soon as Henry was in front of goal, he was shaping his body, opening it up and slotting the ball in the bottom corner. Costa's got a very similar part to his game. But the reason why this clip has to be addressed is because who was the one player last year, Jason, out of all of Chelsea's starting 11, aside from Mourinho, that came under the most scrutiny because there was that disconnect between whether or not the managers and the players were getting on, and there was no real focused villain aside from Mourinho? Who was the player that was just battered in every time he touched the ball? A serious question. Who was it?
Eden Hazard.
Exactly. And who's the player this year that I haven't even heard a peep about, apart from his first game, where everyone said Hazard's back?
Eden Hazard.
Exactly, because the same thing happens with any team, is that when you have now all of the media's attention focused on one thing, you put a poop in the corner, all the flies are going to go to it.
Let's take a quick look at the Premier League table just to show you where Chelsea and everyone else stacks up, because if we're talking Premier League, you deserve the context of where people stand, and by people I mean entire clubs. I just grabbed the top 10. Unfortunately, Leicester is not there. This is very different from last year. Man City with a perfect start, Chelsea right behind them.
Everton.
Tied on goal differential.
Ronald Koeman's Everton.
Romelu Lukaku's Everton.
Ronaldo Lukaku.
Somehow not John Stones' Everton anymore.
Exactly. So
That was my brightest moment ever, an hour before John Stones transferred.
The
He's
one
never
thing,
leaving.
The one thing that Chelsea had to make themselves more focused on this year again was being hard to beat. Far too often teams came to Stamford Bridge last year and beat them, and teams were confident knowing that the turmoil that was going in the dressing room and the turmoil that was going on behind the scenes and the players not getting along with each other and the players not getting along with the managers, it made people believe they could beat them. It made people want to go to Stamford Bridge to prove a point and be like, the champions? Pfft, no, they're no hard work going to Stamford Bridge.
Right.
This year now it's like, all right, Antonio Conte, I think he almost is. It's a blessing for Diego Costa to have started the way he has started, because they're unbeaten still. Yeah, they had a minor blip against Swansea, but whilst Costa is taking the plaudits and also taking the heat, the criticism, Conte's just Italianing his way through the game, which is the most dramatic guy in the world.